We're off the next 3 days for the Masters, which means we will leave this time slot in the hands of our great friend who joins us now from Augusta, Mr. Scott Van Pelt. Scott, so let's start with this. Scottie Scheffler comes in as the #1 player of the world, very, very hot, won a bunch of tournaments. Jon Rahm is the defending champion. What do you think the pressure is like on each of these guys?
I feel that Scottie carries an unusually burden is not the right word. I think he has unusually short odds that's reminiscent of Tiger at the peak of his powers. I mean, it's like less than 5-1, which is outrageous. But given the way he's played recently, there's every reason to expect that he will play well, and sometimes that can be a burden. But I think that like Scottie, Jon Rahm arrives with a green jacket. There's a whole lot less pressure on either of those men than there is on somebody like, say, Rory, for whom this isn't just I can win the Masters, it's I win the Slam if I do. So I don't necessarily believe, Tony, that pressure is a word that applies to either. There is the scrutiny that comes with being the reigning champion, and certainly Scottie is a guy having won the last two and coming up a stroke shy of a playoff in the last one. Everyone thinks they'll play well, but I don't believe either feels any burden at all.
So many great players, of course, Scott, in this field, including Justin Thomas, who sort of split with Bones Mackay, his caddy, recently. What can you tell us about that and the state of JT's game as he goes into Augusta?
It's interesting. I was actually able to sit down and have lunch and visit with him today, but I literally did a poor job of preparing for this segment because I didn't ask. I thought it was the kind of thing that if it came up, I would say, hey, what happened? But I'll be honest with you, Michael, as it relates to caddy player splits, it happens all the time on the PGA Tour. It's just very rare that anyone knows the name of the caddy. Everyone knows Bones because he was with Phil for so many years, and then he was with Justin, and they won majors. He won majors with both players. I didn't ask the question. But I know that JT has been up here in advance of the week and has been working hard this afternoon after he played this morning with Tiger to try to get things dialed in. He, like a lot of well-known players, whether they've won majors or not, have not had the best spring run-ups. But there's so many players that arrive here, and this place is just like manna from heaven, right? It's just the kind of thing that gets them ready to roll. It wouldn't shock me at all if Justin played well, but I did a poor job of finding out any scoops on what happened between he and Bones.
Listen, you mentioned something that we want to move right into, and it's so natural to segue, Scott. Tiger, speaking of manna from heaven, and guys who've had no spring run-up, what Tiger says he can win if everything goes right. What are you, having seen Tiger all of his career, what are you expecting from Tiger Woods this week?
It's so difficult to answer that question because I'm truly just guessing because we haven't seen him, Michael, finish rounds, right? I mean, his body has reached the point where the back is fused and the leg has gone through so much because of the accident. He's had so many different surgeries that his body is betraying him. So sure, he's going to sit there in a presser on Tuesday and stare out into the media center crowd and say, I can win. And you're going to go, well, we'd feel like an idiot if we said he couldn't. And yet his inability to just finish rounds makes it hard to think that's possible. But speaking to Justin, he played with him today, and he said he hit it close on 7, and he's like, he's going to win, right? All the patrons are going crazy. He's like, he's going to win, he's going to win. And all it takes is like a birdie on the par 5 second early in the first round, and you'd be like, here we go, right? I mean, you'll never doubt the man. It's just hard to believe given how little we've seen him be able to play in the last couple of years.
All right, Scott, we will get you out of here on this, and it's the anticipated question. There are 13 live players in the field. There's supposedly, we always hear this, ongoing negotiations to merge the tours in some way. You're on the ground there. What is the mood of the players on both sides on all of this?
Tony, the appetite for this fight seems to have been abandoned by both sides. I mean, when Rory McIlroy, who I always think of as sort of Jon Snow drawing his sword to fight the whatever, what was it, the White Walkers? I don't know. I'm not a Game of Thrones expert. But he was the guy out front for the PGA Tour, right? He was the most vocal. Those guys can't ever come back, and the hell with them. And now Rory's like, what are you going to do? We should probably figure this out. And so I don't think that either side has any appetite for a fight. John Rahm saying we should play 72 holes on Live. I'm like, you understand what Live is, right? That's 54. That's the name of your tour. So I don't think anyone truly cares. And I think the sport is, I keep using the word adrift, and it feels like something seismic has to happen to get everybody under the same umbrella, so to speak, under the same roof, under the same governance, something. Because as it is, you're just kind of left with you're over here, we're over here. The good news for us as golf fans is that we have everyone together this week. Coverage starting 3 o'clock and on ESPN Plus and SportsCenter updates. So, you can watch them all this week anyway.
Such a great way to get that plug in. I admire that. Thank you, Scottie.
Appreciate it, Scott.
Yep.
Thank you so much, man.
Always, boys.